If it lets us go through. Oh, we're live. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Like the Way You Drink. I'm Tim Gillette, or Mr. T. And my guest host is
Gladys Boutwell, or Lady G.
So to this week, we decided to do something new, aren't we?
Yes.
Old.
Well, something old, something new that happens to be old. Therefore, it's the new old fashioned.
I was going to make the comment today, all right, and I you know what I mean. I don't know your political leanings, Gladys, but I was going to go, well, we're doing an old fashioned on President's Day. I'd do anything for an old fashioned president right about now, but anyway, I don't know your political leanings, but anyway, you got a hint at what mine are a little bit. Yeah.
Well, somebody said that I was listening to a motivational speaker. He was presenting at a graduation, and he says, I was just glad, he goes, that I was able to finish college in 4 terms. And then he rattled off, President Carter, was after that. He mentioned Reagan, so it was Carter, Nixon, Carter, Reagan. And then so it was just kind of funny that it was like 4 terms. That was a long time he was in school getting his college degree.
Yeah, as opposed to me, all right, I'm still working on that college degree. Yeah, I got it from the Game of Life, all right. So I think it'll be about when I turn 75, I might actually have anyway.
You know what? You're going to be so sought after that the colleges are going to give you an honorary doctorate degree.
Yeah, I can see that happen. So anyway, Facebook user says hello or gives a high five. Facebook user, if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, you can actually make it so we know who you are.
Oh, there's our buddy.
Robert has changed his name to Believe in Yourself. I love it, Robert. Good deal. Welcome to the show tonight.
And I still have to put those chips in the freezer, Robert. I haven't done it yet. There's Paul.
There's Paul. All right. Pastor Paul, he does a great show weekdays. All right, go check him out as well on Facebook. He also does one with my friend Jens Johnson, and then he does a Coach Paul. I don't know what it's called, but he's got 2 different podcasts, and he's in the podcast game and met his podcast partner because I introduced the 2 of them.
Nice.
So,
connecting people. See,
connecting people. That's part of the game. So, which Craig connected you and I.
Yes, very true. Anyway. Hey, Craig.
Oh. Facebook user is my wonderful friend Rena. She's got an awesome show. Better Call Daddy, I think it's called. I think I'm going to be a guest on there sometime in the next month or so.
Nice.
But anyway, she's a very, very awesome person. So look at this, Paul going, yes, sir. So we've got some active people on there. It works well with honeycomb cereal too.
Oh, okay. I might have.
I have not had honeycomb cereal since I was a kid.
I was thinking, but I don't have any at home. I thought I did, but I'm like, no, I haven't touched cereal in a while. Although when it's late, having cereal with a little bit of milk is just like the perfect dinner, just to calm the tummy down, to say, okay, you're not hungry, but it's way too late to be eating anything that late. So cereal's just the way to go. Just saying.
What was it? I was seeing some show or something and I actually had cereal and I was surprised because I'd never heard of it. But yeah, my idea of breakfast food at night is 2 eggs and 2 pieces of bacon. That's breakfast food at night.
For dinner is always good. I just got, because Safeway gave me something for free, was the Lucky Charms oatmeal. So the only reason I would ever get something like that is because it was free. So I haven't tried it yet. Mm-hmm. We'll see how that tastes, because I used to always pull out the little Lucky Charms from the cereal. They were way too sweet or something. I don't know.
No, I was thinking, like, what we should have done for an episode of this, when we retry and do another Bloody Mary or something like that, or mimosas, we should do breakfast food with it. Eggs and bacon. Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
Just saying. So.
Maple bacon with toasted pecans. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you tell we're a food and drink podcast? So anyway, what do we got? What do we got on board to make? I know we're gonna make old fashions now. I've got a recipe that I'm gonna try 2 different versions of. Do you have 1 recipe or 2?
Technically, I have 2, because one is going to be with bourbon and the other one is going to be with rye.
Okay.
And one is going to be with sugar and one is going to be without. So it's depends on what you like. And there is so much you can do with old fashions. Just because an old fashioned is simple doesn't mean you can't do so many different things. They call it modern twist. You can add chocolate to it. You can add maple you said did you mention
I have
maple?
it here. I have it. What I'm going to do, because I'm going to do similar to the one I did at Christmas time. I got maple syrup here to do one of mine. So
you can even use reposado tequila. I mean, and we have to give it to Wisconsin for adding brandy. So whenever you're in Wisconsin, you ask for an old fashioned.
You're getting it with brandy.
It's going to be sweeter. That's just the way they're made. And you can ask for it sour, and then it's going to be sour.
Wait a minute. In Tennessee, do they do it with moonshine?
Why not? I would say possibly.
I bet you down south here in Texas, they might try to do it with tequila. Speaking of tequila, we when we were planning this, do you know what tomorrow is?
Tuesday?
That is one thing. The other thing is it's National Margarita Day. And we're doing old fashions, and we could have been doing margaritas for tomorrow, but yeah.
My goodness, we just messed that one up.
I know. Well, we just messed that one up. It's all right.
So everybody,
we're going to be doing a lot of tequila stuff in May, right?
Yeah, I was going to say May will be Tequila Day or Tequila Week or month,
yeah.
But so tomorrow, put on a tutu, go to your nearest watering hole, get yourself a good margarita.
Yep. So, I actually looked up and I don't have enough tequila here that we could have switched tonight, and then I'm like, wait a minute. I don't even know what food I was going to add with it. So yeah, I couldn't even throw an audible in and change the menu tonight because you'd already gone to work and you wouldn't have anything there.
No, I would have had to have known by like noon because I ran out at 12:30 to grab a couple things that I needed and have lunch. See, Taco Tuesday. So
that means one of these, or that means in May, we're going to do a Taco Tuesday in margaritas. Well, you watch. We're going to do something with that.
Even though it's a Monday. But so tomorrow,
even though it's a Monday. But yeah, the purpose of this podcast is actually help you plan your drinks for the week. We just didn't plan too well.
That's okay. Well, we planned this 2 weeks ago.
This was 3 weeks ago we planned this. Yeah. So yeah.
It's okay. We'll come back to it. That just means we'll just have to.
That just means we get to have more episodes and drink more. Right. I know. We get to drink more.
So what?
So you want to mix first here, or you want to talk about the foods we're going to do?
Well, food. So I have two types of cheddar. I have a mild cheddar, and then I have a sharp white cheddar. Although the extra sharp white cheddar is better, but I just wanted one little sliver because I needed to grab. That's two of the things that I grabbed. I have like a ton at home, but just didn't have the time for that. We have deviled eggs. We have some nuts. These were a trio of nuts. We have pecans and almonds, and I forgot what the third one was. It's not walnuts. That's the pecan. Cashews. Thank you. Cashews. Takes me a second. Sometimes I have to think about it. And Mr. T has a true pork chop. I went with the barbecued pork because that was the easiest thing. We spent hours and hours making fried chicken yesterday. I don't do fried chicken because it's a lot of work and it's very messy. And we spent hours and hours making fried chicken yesterday, but it was so good. So I wasn't about to cook a pork chop after that. So I went with this, but this is more the marinade that's on the outside. It's still more about the pork. So those are our food items for this week.
So to show you guys Tim made his deviled eggs. Tim made them. Tim has a pork chop, which I'll go through. All right. But yesterday, my cooking was ribs. So she said barbecue. I pulled everything. I pulled all my meat off the bone, but it has some of my sauce and everything into it. My bourbon barbecue sauce that I made myself.
Yum.
As well as I just have crackers, roasted almonds, and I have one thing of cheddar. So
okay. Well, what do you put in your deviled eggs?
Deviled eggs. So my deviled eggs, I did regular yellow mustard, mayonnaise, and then I add some sriracha sauce.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of marinade do you use?
And then I put the paprika. I use smoked paprika. I don't use the regular paprika.
What kind of mayo do you use?
I believe it's a Hellman's Real Mayo. Yeah.
That's the only real type. The Hellman's / Best Foods on the West Coast, Hellman's in the South. That's the best. What I did with mine was the yellow mustard, the Best Foods mayo. I got a little piece of dill pickle, chopped that up,
Okay.
and threw it in there. And then I just added a little bit of salt and pepper, and then topped it off with the paprika.
So the pickle in deviled eggs. Now, growing up, I don't remember them on the East Coast. Is that more of a West Coast thing? Or
I didn't start eating deviled eggs till I was an adult, and every time I ate them, there was usually dill pickles in there.
Okay.
So.
And where was the first time you ever ate them, though?
I think it was at a friend's house gathering, and there was deviled eggs, and I was like, "This looks good," and I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah, but what part of the country were you in?
Oh, LA.
In LA?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
East LA.
Because I don't remember them ever being in any of one of my families. The sriracha was something I added to try to do mine. And the truth is, I used to run a tractor trailer repair shop, and the gentleman who replaced me was my assistant for a year before he replaced me. And we had this thing where his girlfriend used to make deviled eggs for him.
Okay.
So then he said I used to taste them, and I'm like, how do you make that? So I'm at their house one night, and she tells me how to make them. The next day, I go in with deviled eggs.
Okay.
And it became a competition for us for like 4 months before I left the job. Was every day the two of us would come in with a recipe of deviled eggs and make them and taste each other's. Yeah, two mechanics. All right, running a mechanic shop are tasting each other's deviled eggs that we cooked the night before.
That's what happens when you love food. See, we don't like food. We love food. So it's about just really savoring and tasting and enjoying. So this is our food for today. So when it comes to an old fashioned, the basic recipe is 2 ounces of your bourbon. Usually they say take 1 cube of sugar and muddle it at the bottom. And if you don't have a cube, you can also use this is like a sugar cane, the kind of like the brownish sugar. Yeah. And you never want to use like Equal that or Splenda or any of those. You truly need to use either sugar cane or one of the sugar cubes, because the taste will be very different if you're using one of those others. You can use other types of sweeteners. Honey is one of them, but again, it's going to change the taste of your drink. You can look at that. Then you can also use, so one of the ways that I make it is that I have my cherries, simple syrup, absolutely.
Now I have cherries, but I have spiked cherries, so they're going to be sweet with a little spike to them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the cherry juice is a sweetener too.
So with one of them, the one that I'm going to make with the bourbon, it's just going to have the sweetness from the cherries. Now, mind you, this thick deliciousness of cherries is sweeter than if you get these are the Kroger brand cherries. Well, these work absolutely, but if you're going to use these, you definitely want to use sugar because you're just going to put the cherry in there, and you don't actually have to put a cherry in an old fashioned. I do. I like it that way. Get mad at me, but that's the way I like it. Again, an old fashioned, you can do whatever you want. And then of course you have your bitters. So truly it's your bourbon, your sugar, your bitters. And then you can put a slice of orange to give it a little bit of citrus. It's very basic. You got to make it the way that you like it. What grabs you. So one of the other things is you're like, oh, a shaker. The old fashioned is so old fashioned. It does not need a shaker. It is. The reason I have the shaker is because I have my big ice cube. See, one of my big ice cubes.
Okay, yeah, I have one. I should have brought 2 up since I'm doing 2 drinks, but I have one, and it's melted enough that I might be able to stir with it. But the bigger ice cube, I have a big tray that I make them in, and usually when I'm making an old fashioned, it's tough to stir in the small glass. The big cube, so I had to melt it down.
Right, and
check.
If you are using a sugar cube, do not put the cube in there because then it's going to be harder to muddle. So because I'm not using sugar, I put in the cube in there. It helps me also to measure my bourbon because sometimes I will make my drink without measuring. If you measure it, It's like once it covers the ice cube, you're good. So this ice cube is not as big as it can be because it's hard for me to get it out of the a silicone little container thing. So this is kind of a smaller of the big ice cubes. But you can start with either the bourbon or you can start with all your goodies. It depends.
Here's how you know when mixing an old fashioned, something you should always have on your bar is a damp rag. Yes, not no. I have my napkin, but a damp rag because how many of times you go to your bar and all the sweet stuff is all sticky?
I got the wet rag. I really do.
So there's mine.
Wow,
I'm gonna tell you guys now. What I put in mine is I did a little bit of that cherry, but my cherry, if you see it in there, is the spiked cherry. And I have two different spiked cherries. I have one that's just spiked cherry and one that is cinnamon spiked.
Oh, yum. Okay.
All right. So it is infused with alcohol. And yes, it has alcohol in it because if you go to the grocery store and buy it, they will ask you for your ID on the way out. It does have alcohol in it.
Yeah.
So,
look how thick that is. Look at that.
That's just your cherry sauce?
That's my cherry sauce. So one of the things that you should know is that if you have a higher proofed alcohol, 60 plus, then you want that thicker with cherry sauce if you're going to use it to sweeten your drink. You can use simple syrup also, but if you have that lower proof, then you don't have to get the thickness. This one is just gorgeous. This is why I love these. They just have so much flavor. They're super dark. Look at that color on that. It's like almost black.
It looks almost black on the camera.
It is. It actually is. It's like a really rich, so rich. It's like black. And then, I mean, look at that color. I mean, it's black. So this is my sweetness that I'm throwing in there. And then my bitters. There are various types of bitters. There's the raft. There's orange bitters that you can also add if you want to add a little bit of citrus flavor in there. Your aromatic bitters. And then I'm going to be using the bitter housewife because it's funny. The bitter housewife.
You're a bitter housewife?
Well, the funny thing is I'm not a housewife, but so 2 dashes.
Oh, really? I've always put 3 to 4 in mine.
You know, you can adjust it because sometimes I will add more once I've made it because I'm like, if I put a little bit too much cherry juice, and this is 2 ounces. So this is such a simple one that you do not need, to shake it up. You just do it in here. Now, the other thing that you
got my wonderful squizzle spoon
that I don't have. So when you have the orange rind, make sure that you twist it. The reason for that is when you twist it, you start seeing the oils come out, and you want that because that is, and you could smell it. Oh my goodness, you can smell that orange. Oh my goodness. And throw it in there. That is going to give it a little bit of that citrus. And you can add a little bit.
I did with my oranges, I have a what do they call it? Where you can just get the zest, a zester. So I zested a bunch of that I put in as well. And that's how I like my orange. I had to peel the orange to get it peel, but I still put the zest into it. And I made mine with simple syrup and I made one earlier today to test. And when I made it earlier today, I tried it. I tried the first one with sugar cubes, which we have, and then melting it, and it did not work well because it said that the recipe I said melt it with water. I'm like, I don't like water in my drink.
Yeah, I've never used water to melt the sugar. I usually might throw in a little bit of my alcohol in there, and then muddle it at the bottom. Usually a wooden spoon will work well if you don't have a bar muddler.
Well, when you pour stuff over it, it kind of melts it right away. Sugar cubes. So,
So I added a little bit of orange bitters just to give it a little bit of more of a citrusy taste to it. And then we have our food we got to pair with. So that's part of the what we need to do over here is taste it. How do we like it with what we're eating?
First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try it with some nuts.
Oh, great idea. Start simple.
Because I'm sitting in a bar. If I'm going to order food, it's going to take a bit. But they're going to give me a drink right away. First thing I'm going to sample it with is something I would eat right away, and that would be the nuts on the bar. I have just roasted almonds tonight. I don't have the other nuts that you have. So, you know, the nuts kind of go very well with the bourbon I've picked. But
yeah, the saltiness just comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And it tones down that citrus, in my opinion.
So if I'm in a bar and I'm having one of these, the next thing I'm going to do is I was probably going to get an appetizer of some sort. Mm-hmm. Appetizers usually would come in the form of your deviled eggs or, you know, even ribs because I have the barbecue. So I'm going to try with my rib first. Because, of course, I've got a barbecue bourbon sauce on it.
Right. And that should bring out your bourbon amount. Just, ooh. I tried it with the cheddar, the mild or medium cheddar, next with the sharp white. I think I like it with the sharp white a little bit better.
Yeah.
That sharpness of the cheese kind of brings down that sweetness, so it's not as sweet.
Not a fan with the deviled eggs.
No, so I'm afraid to try it.
Fan. All right. Remember, mine's a little different than yours too.
Yeah, because yours you have the little bit of that's right. I have pickles in mine, and you have some spiciness in yours.
Yes, and I think the spiciness in mine is what's offsetting it. However, the cheddar cheese does go very well with this.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I think the spiciness, because you have the sweetness here and the spiciness.
I should not have added sriracha sauce to my deviled eggs today. That throws off. So sriracha will throw off the taste of the old fashioned.
So if you're having an old fashioned at a bar, don't have anything that is spicy.
Yeah.
It's not going to go well. One other thing is when you order, I have my favorite place to go to that they have the best old fashions is at McCormick and Schmidt.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been there in a while, and I went and I ordered an old fashioned, and I'm tasting it. I'm going, there's something wrong. It just did not taste right. And I'm there for dinner. And then I'm having it before dinner. I'm with Sean there, and I'm just like, and he tasted it, and it just did not taste well. Mm-hmm. So they remade it, and it tasted better the second time because they said, well, we put in I said, I don't care what you put in it. This does not taste like your old fashioned.
Yeah.
Well, I ended up meeting up with a girlfriend of mine like 2 months later, and we went there because, you know, it's just the right location from where I'm at and where she was coming from. And I ordered the old fashioned, and it was okay. Somebody next to us ordered it with a big ice cube, and I went, that's what it was.
A big ice cube.
I asked them to remake it, and they did with the big ice cube. And I'm like, there's my old fashioned. That is what I was waiting for. What had happened was because they had used ice, the ice was probably soft and it melted very quickly. It watered down my drink. And that's what I didn't like, a watered down old fashioned. So if it doesn't say with the big ice cube, make sure you say, hey, can I get a big ice cube in that?
Yeah. I just thought about that as I only have one large ice cube. Oh, excuse me, one large ice cube up here. So I will tell you when it comes to pork chop. Oh my God, because I just have salt, pepper, and throw it on the grill. The pork chop goes very well with the old fashioned.
My barbecue pork tastes good. Barbecued pork is what got me into actually. I did not taste mustard until I think was it 2020, probably early 2020. The first time I actually said, "Oh, I think I kind of, sort of, somewhat like mustard." I've cooked with it. I don't like it. I don't like putting mustard on my hot dog. but it was that spicy Chinese mustard with the barbecued pork that I went, oh my goodness, this is very different. So now I will have it, but I don't think I would have the spicy mustard with this and the old fashioned because it's probably going to clash.
So it goes very well with my barbecue sauce, by the way, and pork.
Well, you put bourbon in yours, so I would hope that it just like matches beautifully.
I did a cinnamon whiskey this time, cinnamon bourbon this time.
Oh,
There's a Texas company that I do this Iron Wolf bourbon. They have it Iron Hot, which is bourbon with cinnamon in it, and it is much sweeter, much sweeter, much smoother than your like what's it, the Fireball.
oh,
They are very big on. They tell you about the reason that is Fireball. What's used to make Fireball whiskey is a chemical, not a sugary.
yeah. I don't care for Fireball. I had tasted something and I'm going, there's something wrong with this drink, and there's Fireball in it, and I was like, I don't care for it. So I had gotten this big bottle it was a giveaway from a fundraiser, and I'm like, oh, it had all these things, and I'm like, oh, I gave most of it away because it wasn't stuff that I drank, but it was for a fundraiser, and one of my friends loves Fireball, so I came over. I'm like, here. She's like, oh my goodness, she thought it was the greatest thing. It was the Fireball, and I'm like, you enjoy it, Kate.
Yeah.
My turn.
They're the ones who told me that the Fireball has like some of the same chemicals in it that's used in antifreeze.
What?
Yeah. So I'm going to make my second one with maple. Maple syrup.
Goodness. Sorry to interrupt you. I ate the cherry with the barbecued pork. It went delicious. Oh my goodness.
Hold on. I'm going to have to go try that now because mine's a spiked cherry.
It just was like boom. I was like, whoa, I like that.
I might have to do a version of my barbecue sauce with some cherry in it.
I think you need to. So whenever you're having anything brandied or spiked, if you will, there is alcohol in them. So watch how many you eat. I one time put my olives in vodka.
Hold on a second. 12-year-old Jimmy from Cleveland wants to know what seafood goes well with old fashioned. Number one, if you are a 12-year-old boy, you do not need to be watching this podcast. We are very much against that. Having an old fashioned as a 12-year-old boy is wrong. We do not approve of it. It is not part of this show, and it is not part of what we believe in. All right. I'm sorry. I have to do that. You must be 21 years old to drink. No, I'm calling this out. I have to. I'm sorry. I have to. We are very much about
you're trying to be funny. I know he's trying to be funny.
I know he's trying to be funny, but that is not a joke on this podcast. I'm sorry. So all those tiny Chinese peanuts too. Tiny Chinese peanuts. You don't know what he's talking about? She has them. I don't.
The peanuts are a little bit smaller.
Yeah. No, but he did mention something there, seafood. I never thought about what seafood because we never researched the seafood.
Right.
Old fashioned. It's something we didn't find in our research.
You know what I have had with an old fashioned with seafood is the seared ahi.
Yeah, I could see that.
That they sliver. Oh my goodness. And then the wasabi. Okay, so I have had wasabi on the seared ahi with an old fashioned.
Oh, wow.
So I have had that, and it was absolutely delicious. Drink your water, too. I put it in my cute little, these were my mama's little punch bowl cups. But there's a lot you can do with old fashions. So Tim is going to make one with maple syrup, which is one of the things you can do to sweeten your old fashioned. You can put chocolate in your old fashioned.
Chocolate covered cherry would go very well as your cherry in old fashioned. I'm just saying.
I hadn't thought about that before. So there's so much that you can do with an old fashioned that really there's really no history. In the 19th century is when they first started talking about old fashions, and they were using different concoctions than what we're using now. It has morphed over the years, but sugar has always been a center point of it. It's that little bit of sweetness. So you have something that's not as sweet, your bourbon, your rye. You add a little bit of sweetness, and it's just it's a sweet thing. That's what it is. And if you're in Wisconsin, it's
you're gonna have brandy with it.
yes, you're gonna have brandy with it. And then what type of sugar are you using? Again, I know some can have this. They need to have stevia or an equal or whatever it may be.
Yeah, use simple syrup. Please do not use that.
You know, do some, turn it into a simple syrup so you can control the sweetness of it, or use a sugar cube, or use, if what's in these, look at the of what is in these, because I'm sure that there's a difference between this and this, which I'm trying to see, and of course I can't see because I don't have my reading glasses today. It's supposed to be at the bottom. I have progressives, yes. This one I can see a little bit better. There's I'm trying to see calories 5. I'm trying to see the sugar content in here. 2%, 2 grams of added sugar. In this one, the 3 grams of sugar. So this one has more sugar than this one. Yeah. And you could tell by that thickness of the juice that this one, of course, is going to be more. But pick your sugar.
Look at the color in a maple one. What are you noticing? Maple syrup
it's a little bit more reddish.
I know. Maple syrup is a much darker sweetener. So, but yeah, maple syrup will give you it gives you a really sugary rush because of the fact that, I mean, think about your maple syrup. If you're going to have maple syrup on your pancakes, that's the accent that puts it in. That's where I found out to do it with my spiked. That's where I originally came up with the spiked cherries, and I did the cinnamon infused ones. The cinnamon is a great accent, all right, when you use maple syrup because the sugar is so sweet. You want something that has a bite. You can even do it, truthfully, you can even do it with like a cinnamon bourbon or a cinnamon whiskey.
Oh, yeah. So what I did is that I put a little bit of the cherry juice in with my sugar, and then I used the cherry to muddle my sugar. Wow. So that is the way to do it. And then I'm going to use rye this time. I'm using James Oliver rye whiskey. I will use either when I ask for one, I'll usually do a maker's mark, if you will. When I'm having an old fashioned, you can do a well drink, but you never know what you're getting. You might just be getting a whiskey, not a bourbon. Yeah. Depends on where you're at. You can always ask at McCormick and Schmidt here. They do Pendleton. So that's what they use, which is local. So, and I'm using a little bit less than 2 ounces because this is just because. See, and I'm mixing it because I am using sugar. I'm doing the mix first before I add my ice cube. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to mix it if you have a big ice cube in there. And then, of course, you know what? I'm going to take your advice, and I did 4 dashes. These truly are 4 dashes. When you do 1, 2, 3, 4, this is that's why they have those little guys right there. So that way you're not putting more than what you really want. Did you put an orange juice into it?
Yes.
I'm going to do that.
I squeezed some orange juice into it as well as my zest and my peel. So
instead of using the bitters, use the orange juice. Now, I was at the coast.
So yeah, we prepped these earlier. Truthfully, I'm going to tell you, when making an old fashioned, don't prep your oranges ahead of time. Yeah, do it fresh.
So I was at the coast and I wanted to make an old fashioned, and I didn't have any. I didn't have orange. I was like, I forgot the orange. Oh my goodness! And then of course it's 15 minutes to drive to the nearest store, and it's like, oh, they Diane had one of those oils that no the what is like not Scentsy, what's that other one that the essential oils,
Yeah.
one of those. And it's like, well, I have orange essential oils, which are all natural. And so I took the orange essential oils, put it in here, and made my old fashioned with that. And it was really good.
Really?
Yes, it was all natural. It didn't have any chemicals in it. If you're ever, I'm not big into essential oils, but if you're going to do essential oils, you want to make sure that they're natural. And if you can put it into your drink where you can drink it, you know it's natural. So
I'm
that's
just
what I
saying,
do.
all right. I never thought about contacting my essential oils person to add things to my bar.
So I have another big ice cube. Yes, I'm putting my fingers in it, but it's for me. If I was doing it for somebody else, I'd
Yes.
be using little,
We would
tongs.
have tongs. I don't have tongs up here. I thought about that today. It's like, man, I should have tongs up here too.
I gotta have, I gotta add all the bar stuff at the office. I need to remove one of, this where I have all my awards and stuff. I think it's going to turn into a bar one of these days.
Yeah, that would be the bad part about me getting an office. I would have to put a bar in.
Oh, okay. So this one, a little bit.
Tell me about the rye, because I'm not a rye drinker, but yeah.
It feels a little bit stronger in the taste of it. This one, it's a little bit smoother with the bourbon, had a nice smoothness, but again, I used the cherry juice. I'm thinking I might add a little bit more cherry juice, and I'm going to use the good cherry juice in here. These cherries, oh my goodness, I was like, I saw them at the liquor store, and I'm like, and I remembered having this at home, and I said, I spent how much on cherries? Yeah, not cheap. And some people will splurge.
Which liquor store did you get them from, and how much are they?
So these guys are about $24.
Okay, and which store did you get them from?
Liquor store. At a liquor store, you cannot get this at the store. At the store.
What was the name of the liquor store you went to?
Oh, Stafford Liquor Store on Ellingson here in Wilsonville. They have everything you need. And then, of course, you got the Kroger ones. This is what I use to put my cherry in there. But yeah, it's here in Oregon. If you want something, I do enjoy. Oh yeah. The orange flavored or the orange smelling one you can put in your drink there.
So this old fashioned goes very well with the pork chop. The pork chop, I think that was our winner this week, was the pork chop.
I think so.
Going with an old fashioned. Oh my gosh.
So adding that little bit of cherry juice into this one just made it boom. So if you went with Sean to this other place and he asked for cherry juice in his old fashioned, and it just gives it just a slightly different flavor. So check it out. Just add cherry juice to it. Why not? They're gonna, if you don't like it, I'm sure they'll remake it for you and go, oh, I thought it was good, but Mr. T and LadyG and Mr. T were wrong. I didn't like the cherry juice in it. You can blame us.
That's it. Just blame it on us.
Okay, I'm
curious. When you put the cherry juice in, is that calling it a dirty old fashioned?
Possibly.
I'm sorry. The more you drink, the funnier the jokes don't get.
I have a board meeting after this at 6:00, so
I think 2 more drinks and you'll be able to make every decision right in that board meeting.
I'll just go, sure, whatever y'all want. I'm good. All right, so back to the
For
devil.
the record, Tim and Gladys do not endorse alcoholism.
We talk about it all the time. Don't drink and drive.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you got to be safe. If you have any problems with
responsible
drinking,
when you drink.
Just seek out help.
No. Guys, if you have drinking is a problem, do not. This show is not for you. All right. I have a bar. I was saying, if I told you the thousands of dollars of alcohol I have in my house, it will blow your mind. If I told you the last time I was drunk, you would not believe I have that much alcohol in my house.
It's been a while.
The last time I was drunk that I actually had to have someone drive my car home, George Bush was president.
Oh, wow. That's been a while.
It's been a long time. I am very responsible when I drink. All right. Like tonight, I'll drink tonight. Why? I'm not going anywhere. I got to go downstairs. That's it. That's why I love doing this podcast. When I go out to a bar, I'll have one of these maybe, if that's it. Now, alcohol really, I mean, it doesn't affect me stronger. I could probably have 3 or 4 of these and still be sober enough to drive home. Fine. But if they tested me, all right, there's just that one chance that they can go, well, technically you're legally over the limit.
Right.
So I don't do it. Right. If I ever get to a bar where I have too much in me, not too much that I can't drive, but too much that I realize that I am now close to the legal limit, I am not driving my car home. Right. It has nothing to do with I can drive, because trust me, when I drank beers and alcohol in the early 2000s, I went to a nightclub, and on a Friday and Saturday night, I would spend between $800 and $900 a night in the bar.
Wow. Hopefully it's for you and friends and not just you, right?
Yeah, that was me. No. That was mostly me.
Wow.
And
what were you drinking?
When we left to go out to get our cars, I was the sober guy.
That's craziness.
I know. That's just, and when I found out that, I get it from my father, that's part of the deal. Knowing your limits is the hard part about life. I knew my limits to where after that, it affected my health to where I now know my limits and I don't drink that much. I drink things for the taste. I'm tasting this tonight because of taste. And I'm taking a sip with everything. Now, the only thing I haven't tried it with so far on the maple one is the deviled eggs. You ready for this one?
Go ahead.
By the way, Mom, if you're watching, I still have deviled eggs over if you want some of them.
He made a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Because, so I told Tim earlier, I said, of all the things, I can make a gourmet dinner, no problem. You asked me to make hard-boiled eggs. I'm like, ugh. I screw them up every time.
I'm going to tell you, when you take simple syrup out and put maple, it makes a world of difference.
Really? Okay.
Remember, if you guys remember, I did not like the deviled egg with my original old-fashioned with simple syrup. When I put the maple into it, I love the taste of the deviled eggs. So apparently that simple syrup does not go well with sriracha.
I was going to say it's probably the sriracha that just clashed.
Simple syrup and sriracha are the clash, I believe. Because you tasted what would be a traditional old-fashioned that did not have sriracha into it. So, anyway. Deviled eggs, how did you know they are my favorite way to consume eggs? Maybe we will put our deviled egg recipe in here tonight instead of our bourbon recipes. So
I got scolded by the checkout person at Safeway. So I went in to grab 2 hard-boiled eggs because that's all I really needed. And he scanned it and didn't scan, and I said it's $1.50. And so then he hand scanned it, and of course $1.50 comes up. He looks at me and he says, you can get a whole dozen eggs, and I'm like, I understand I can get a whole dozen eggs for $1.50. It's actually $1.89. I said, but they're already made, they're already prepped. I don't have time to go home and screw it up because it's just sometimes the convenience, I'll pay for the convenience of it. They're already well made. I was able to cut them, scoop them out, make my thing, put them back on, and they were pretty. I didn't need any gray on the edge or undercooked or overcooked. It's just every time. So
truthfully, in the early 2000s, when I had my car wash business, had services like Uber Eats.
Oh, really?
DoorDash, or what's the other one? Grubhub. Had they been around in the early 2000s, someone like me would have used the crap out of them. because I was so busy. I was a single guy. I didn't have time to come home and make dinner. So your options were come home, make dinner, or go out to eat.
Uh-huh.
And I'm telling you, as someone who works away from home, you know what I mean, and offices at home, the last thing you want to do is go out to eat all the time. And that's what I did. I went out to eat all the time.
Mm.
Grubhub had been around, and Grubhub, you know, I mean, those food services have been around. I would have paid for them. I don't care the extra amount it cost me because of the fact it saved me time.
It's called outsourcing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you knew, and I don't know if Domino's was doing it in Texas, but Texas was giving out local gift cards from the local businesses.
Yes, they're doing that nationwide. Yeah.
Okay. And so the CEO came out and said, we're doing this because we want you to support local. We want you to go to the local businesses and order directly from them versus the Grubhubs, your Postmates, your Uber Eats, because there's a charge that goes back to either the consumer or the restaurant. And the restaurant has to pay a certain percent of the sale to Uber Eats and Grubhub or whomever it is. So I understand, but the problem is that a lot of these restaurants don't have delivery service.
Yeah.
That means the person has to go out and pick it up.
Yeah.
And part of it is if you don't have time, or if you really don't want to be out in public, utilizing these services is a convenience, and you're willing to pay the money.
True, it is. So one of the things that I did, I actually tasted this again with all of the barbecue and everything. But I have to state something, because growing up as a kid, my favorite food was pork chops.
Really?
Yep. So to the point that when we were younger, our TV broke. When we were going to my grandmom's for dinner. And when we went to my grandmom's for dinner, my mom said, well, Tim's in love with you tonight. And my grandmom says, because I'm making pork chops. And my mom said, no, because you're willing to give that extra TV to us. My grandmom knew how much I love pork chops. To me, a pork chop needs to be eaten like this.
Yum. Rum, nom, nom, nom. I have done that.
You eat the pork chop, you grab it right by the bone and eat it, baby.
Oh, so growing up, my mama would munch on that bone. My aunt, who I grew up with, she's like, would not touch the bone. She's like, I am not a dog. It's like, no way. I to this day, I still would munch on the bones, whether it be chicken bones or the pork chop or a ribeye with bone in. I will munch on that bone. It's just, there's something about the bone that just has this delicious flavor. But again, I love food, so. So I still have drink here, but I don't think I'm going to finish it. I've been drinking my water.
I don't think, which as we're close to close to 50 minutes on the hour here. I'm not going to drink all of this because I have to go clean up the dishes. I can't just say to my wife when she comes home, hey, by the way, clean up my mess. I'm feeling buzzed.
I was going to say you have to go downstairs and clean up. The pork was a great idea. I absolutely loved it. The combination with the cheese, the deviled eggs was a great appetizer. Those are gone.
Yeah.
Okay, I have two others over here, but never mind. The nuts were just a nice little touch to be able to munch on. Gives it a little bit of saltiness. The cheese just gives it that savory, kind of like the pork chop, but a creamy savory.
Yeah.
Play with your old fashioned. As you're making it, if you think it's not sweet enough, add a little bit more cherry juice. If you think it needs a little bit of citrus, so add a little bit of orange bitters, or if you have your orange, a little bit of orange juice. This is a navel orange that I used. And then make sure that you are twisting that rind, because that's where the essential oils are going to come out to really accentuate. See, the oils came out onto my hand. That's how powerful the oils are in the
And
skin.
orange, oh yeah, orange flavors in the skin, guys. You would not believe how much orange flavor are in your skin.
And see how that ice has not melted that much, so it's not going to dilute your drink.
Mine did because I went through 2 drinks with it.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
It does that every time.
But you can get those silicone ones that'll cost you $5-6. It is worth it. What I do is that I don't fill them unless they're the smaller big cubes. Don't fill them all the way to the top because it's going to be really hard to get them out.
Yeah.
I only fill them halfway.
I do 3/4. Yeah.
Yep. And then it'll be a little bit easier. You got to play with it to get it out. I have them here at the office. I have them at home because even if I'm not having a cocktail, sometimes just having a big cube for my water, for my juice, whatever it is that I'm drinking, sometimes I just want it cold, but it won't dilute it because it'll take longer to melt. So that's the beauty of that large ice cube. For me, it was worth spending the money on it.
Yeah. We have them in squares and balls. And then we have a square that actually has the imprint of the state of Texas into it.
Seriously?
Yeah.
How did I not see it when I was out there?
Because you weren't at my house.
Oh, got it.
But remember, tell Sean, you come to my house, you're sleeping in my chair upstairs afterwards because you and I are drinking.
But I wouldn't.
You don't have a ride back to your hotel. You got to stay at my house.
There you go. But I wouldn't be taking your ice cube tray either.
Yeah. So
I want to get my own.
Yeah. Cool.
I did live in Texas for 4 years.
I'm just saying, I think you belong here, but that's my opinion.
Well, I lived in California for 38 years.
I'm sorry.
And I lived in Oregon 10 years.
I'm sorry.
I was in Texas only for 4.
Oh.
And yeah, it'll be 20 some odd degrees over at the lows over the next 3 days or nights, if you will. But you get seasons here. And yes, it was 118 last August and it snowed in February of last year, but that doesn't happen all the time. It's only snowed like 4 times since I've lived here in 10 years.
Yeah, it's about that here in Texas.
Yeah, it was snowing not that long ago.
Monday or Tuesday, or 2 weeks ago it snowed. But here when it snows on Thursday and it clears up by Saturday. As opposed to where I grew up, it snows on Thursday and it clears up sometime in March, April, May.
Maybe. See, I'm at sea level here in Portland area. It's usually at 1,000 feet. If it comes down to 500 feet, where my friend Sylvia lives, she's at 500 feet, so she'll get the snow. And then she gets snowed in, but she works from home, so it's okay. But usually it's at about 1,000 feet is where the elevation of where the snow comes down to. And then I heard earlier today it was snowing about a half hour away from me. But it was that slushy snow where it was snow, but as soon as it hit, it would dissolve.
Uh-huh. That's exactly it. So, all right, this has been a pretty eventful week with stuff. So, pork chops, biggest thing I think we did tonight. I love my deviled eggs, and they go well with when I had the maple syrup into it. But regular simple syrup does not go well, and that is because I added sriracha to my deviled eggs. Your basic snacks, your nuts, cheeses, crackers, go very well with this drink. You used Basil Hayden bourbon, right, for your drink, your first one.
That is correct. Which
we did on our very first episode. And then for the rye, which rye did you use?
James Oliver
rye. So, and we'll be doing ryes in an upcoming episode. I used Texas bourbon tonight, Iron Wolf, which is my favorite Texas bourbon. All right, they're out of the Austin area. I was going to use my Buffalo Trace, but I did not. I have it here just in case. This is what my wife got me for Christmas. That's how much is left of it. I think I've had this much of the bottle. So glad she got me that for Christmas. Yeah. Okay.
So I love Buffalo Trace. So last February when it snowed, it froze in Portland. It snowed in Southwest Washington, which is Vancouver, Clark County area. I drove all the way from Wilsonville to Salem, which is half an hour, to pick up my Buffalo Trace sour. It was a whiskey sour. Mm-hmm. The rep from Buffalo Trace had given our Women Who Whiskey in Salem chapter in these mason jars are sours. So the president said add a little bit more Buffalo Trace, which I did. Went all the way down, came back up, then we headed on to Washington, and it was all snowing, and had our event via Zoom, and it was just wonderful to be able to have a picture out in the snow with my whiskey sour, my Buffalo Trace, and my cocktail right outside. It was just like perfect. Took a picture, sent it to Buffalo Trace, and they said, "Can we post this?" And I said, "Absolutely." Yeah. And then this shaker, I will have to thank my Buffalo Trace sister, if you will, Stephanie. She had this extra shaker, so she passed it on to me. So thank you, Stephanie, from Women Who Whiskey in Salem.
Cool. So other than that, do we have any other thank yous this week?
Those are my main thank yous for this week that I can think of. I'm sure that I'll have more next week. And hopefully I remember to I'm going to have to go buy honeycombs to put them in the freezer, but definitely have chips. Did you say which chips? Because I have some sour cream and onion ones. Those are the ones I'm thinking of putting in the freezer. And I don't know if I ever asked, is it the whole bag, or do you put them out in in layers to make sure that they individually freeze?
Email that to us so we can actually do that as a trial. So do you remember what we said we were going to do next week?
Yes. The 28th is make your own Irish coffee.
Irish coffee. All right. Make your own.
Yes. I think it's because we're starting into March. Yeah. We wanted to start diving into everything Irish.
Yeah. So throughout the month of March, we'll be doing Irish. I think we got Irish whiskey, Irish ales, Irish cocktails, and I think Irish cream is towards the end. So yeah.
Yes.
It'll be an adventuresome month. All right, where we actually have a theme to go through the month. February, it's kind of a weird month to pull a theme off.
Right. And then April, it's kind of more springtime. We're going to be pairing Girl Scout cookies and some wine. That'll be interesting and fun. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we might have to tell you what Girl Scout cookies to buy.
Just in case you run out of getting Girl Scout cookies. So
I know
I got a Girl Scout cookies last week because she said, let's do Girl Scout cookies. And I'm like, man, these won't be available. I got to get them now. I ate them all.
Yeah. So the next batch I have here, I probably will not ship it to Tim until it's almost
the week before.
So hopefully he'll only eat half the box, not the whole box, before we do the podcast. So we will have some Samoas, some Do-si-dos, some lemon.
Yeah.
I think those are the 3 boxes that I got.
Oh my God.
So we're looking at maybe a Chardonnay, maybe a sparkling, a red blend, and maybe a Pinot Noir. So just to give you an idea, so you can start planning, find the wines that you like, put them in, kind of put them in on the side. It doesn't have to be what we're showing you, but if you find the type of wine, then you can pair it along with your cookies.
Which is very good, all right, because this is a good point there. You and I are tasting different stuff, and sometimes we have the same identical stuff we're tasting, all right, but sometimes the food that we pair goes with whatever the drink is. Like tonight, you had a totally different old-fashioned than I had. However, all the foods paired with an old-fashioned.
Except for your deviled eggs with sriracha.
The deviled eggs did not go with simple syrup, yeah. Anyway. Well, other than that, all right. The other thing I want to emphasize, another thing, if you have a drinking problem, please seek help. We do not encourage you to drink, all right, as a as an addiction problem. Addiction is a problem. Addiction with alcohol is a problem in America. We do not encourage it on this show. We do not encourage underage drinking on this show. This is a show for people who are 21 years and older. All right. And it is about your favorite drinks that you pair with food, not just let's drink and get drunk. I'm Tim Gillette, or Mr. T as you want. All right. I am the founder of Simple Easy Marketing. You can find out more about me at timgillette.com. And my co-host is
Gladys Melville, or Lady G. You can find me at Insurance Design Pros. I'm an insurance broker serving Oregon, Washington, and California. So if you have questions on your health insurance, employee benefits, let me know. Even if you're not in the state of Oregon, Washington, or California, I could probably answer your questions and find you somebody that'll take great care of you. That's what I do. I like to connect people. Again, Lady G.
Lady G and Mr. T. We will be back next week, ladies and gentlemen, where we are going to make, what is it again?
Irish coffee, because you need to like the way you drink, because if you don't, why are you doing it?
Why are you doing it? That's right. Exactly. So, all right, guys, we'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye.